I think how you turn up yourself as a leader and how other people see you turn up is absolutely important. That growth and support that you provide them, it forms their identity in the workplace.
So welcome to the WA Leaders Podcast. My name's Charlie Gunningham, and today in this episode I speak with Dr. Nancy Pavisich. Welcome.
Good morning, Charlie. How
Nancy,
are you today?
From Reframe WA Consulting. So can you tell me, Nancy, what is Reframe WA Consulting and how's it going?
It's going really well, actually. Reframe WA Consulting provides services to organisations to engage teams, to grow effective leaders, and with sustainable outcomes in that space. So we look at and focus on leadership and communication. And we offer a number of services in that space. So we engage in coaching and mentoring. We provide retainers where we go into organisations for certain days every month or every quarter. But we do, and we also have workshops. We offer so many services, but ultimately it's about growing and developing people to be the best that they can be.
Great. How long have you been doing that?
We've been in the business now for 5 years. Right. So we're now looking at growing into that next space. But it's been quite the journey, Charlie. And of course, we know geopolitically with all the factors that have happened, and we've been navigating the environment as such. But it's been good and it's been a great ride, and we're having a lot of fun. And having a lot of fun in supporting people to grow and develop, and organisations as well.
When you say we, is that a team of you doing it? Do you pull in people for the workshops and stuff? Yeah.
So it's me, but I pull in people to support me in the work that I do. So I have a number of VAs, I have a number of contractors that I can lean into.
And any type of business or SMEs, or what do you tend to specialise in?
Any type, yeah. And this is the interesting thing, Charlie, because people often say, you really should be more niched, and we're not. We have services that can be applied for small businesses, for medium-sized businesses, and large organisations as a whole.
So no, like mining or construction or education,
all sectors,
everything, every different size of business.
Yep, all sectors.
What stage are they at to bring you in? They go, oh, I need help here. Did they reach out? How does that happen?
Okay, so they engage in a gap analysis and they determine that they have certain needs in the leadership and communication space.
Right.
There are some people who just want to create progression plans within the organisation, and then we get called in. For some people, it's part of the performance review process, and so that's when we get called in to deliver psychometric assessments, and from those psychometric assessment data, we then look at creating bespoke workshops or programs to grow people. So there's a recognition that there's a deficit somewhere in the leadership and communication space, and that's when we get called in.
And you might have typically in a lot of business in WA, say one big, say, alpha male type leader, and they need to develop leadership within their exec team. That person may be retiring or moving on. But anyway, it's good to have leaders within the team, and they sort of starting to recognise that, or someone's recognised that, and then they call you in. Is that typically what happens?
Absolutely. That's
and
how
an alpha male could be a female, of course.
Yes. We're not gender specific.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And typically what do you do? How does that work, and how long does that take? And
okay, so in terms of the work that we do, we have a framework that we have created which is aligned with our motto of reviewing, renewing and regenerating. So reviewing is we take the time with the support of a number of tools, so surveys, psychometric assessments, to actually determine what is the issue here and how does that have impact on culture and on efficiencies and aligned with productivity and ultimately profit. And so once we're able to establish that with clarity, we then look at capacity building in that space, and that's where we look at renewing. So we start implementing programs, whether that's a one-to-one coaching schedule, whether it's a conceptual application of key ideologies that align with the business, and of course in alignment with their respective vision, mission and values. And then we regenerate through action, because it's one thing to engage in professional learning, but if you don't apply it and then come back and revisit it, and then apply it and come back and revisit it, it's pretty pointless. You know, you and I both know about the forgetting curve. and how you can forget things.
Oh, yeah.
I think the data is 67% of what you've learnt the day before is forgotten. So unless you're revisiting
I can't remember yesterday or what happened.
well, unless you're
Sure.
revisiting that or reapplying that, it's
Sure.
pointless. So we offer a 12-month scoped and sequenced program.
Right. I was going to ask how long this process takes. To do it properly, you need some time, I gather.
Absolutely. And for us, a retainer program works even better because what it does is it means we go into organisations, depending on what's agreed upon. It might be 2 or 3 days every month where we're working with the people and the people around them. And then we leave them to it, then come back the following month. Okay, what did you learn? What have you applied? What are further gaps that you've been able to identify? And we keep working through that. And 12 months is a solid chunk of time to be able to say, hey, this is where I was. This was the learning I had along the way. Because life does happen, Charlie. You and I both know that. We have good days and bad days at work. And so when you've got someone almost like in a mentoring capacity or in a coaching capacity, guiding and supporting you, it makes mitigating those challenges that you face a lot easier.
And is leadership something you can teach? Is leadership something you can learn? Presumably the answer is yes.
I'm going to say to you that leadership can be learned, but you have to want to do it. I keep saying to people, and I'm very firm about this, if you're thinking that by following an acronym that makes you a leader, you're wrong. If you think a one-day program is going to help you, you're wrong.
Reading a book.
Yeah, it's a process of self-awareness. So I've written 3 books, 1 in communication, 2 in leadership. I've got the next one starting, and that's based on my podcast series. But this notion of leadership is you have to have self-awareness. You need to know how you turn up and how other people see you turn up.
Yeah.
I've worked with leaders who just walk in with blinkers on, who are so focused on the technical that they've forgotten the people.
Yeah.
And that's when challenges arrive. So, organisations now are battling with high attrition rates and leaders are going, but I do this and I do that. I'm like, but have you spent time with people?
That's the job, isn't it? Leading people and getting performance out of teams and getting performance out of people and getting them to where they need to be. Isn't that the quality of a leader?
Well, I'm going to suggest to you there's a lot of old school mentality out there, whereas I'm boss, you do as I say, that transactional element. And especially when business owners are still in the business and they have that personal desire to keep going to that next level and it's all about the business, the technical, the business, the technical.
Yeah.
And I keep saying to people, because I also do business strategies with people, and so I say to them, a good business strategy is a bunch of solid good words that make sense on a page. A budget is a bunch of numbers on a page.
A spreadsheet.
But if you don't have the oxygen and the metabolism to make them into a lived experience, you've just wasted your time.
Yeah.
And that oxygen and metabolism comes from human capability. So if you're not growing and if you're not developing your people, if you're not bringing them on the journey, you've got issues.
Yeah.
Because it's not just that technical. That technical drive might be for you because that's where you've come from. But other people are coming to be of service to you. So work with them.
Yeah. And it's an important part of their lives. And they will grow a lot and get their entity through their work.
Yeah.
And they will improve themselves as people through their work.
Absolutely.
And I find, I'm semi-retired now, I've been 40 years of leadership positions. Some people stay with you for a long time.
Yes.
And some people are just geniuses and they're only going to have them for a couple of years and they're going to move on and you're going to be so proud of what they go on to do. And there's going to be that mixture of those people.
I call that the leadership legacy. I think how you turn up yourself as a leader and how other people see you turn up is absolutely important. That growth and support that you provide them, it forms their identity in the workplace. I deal with a lot of people who've been so traumatised by previous leadership experiences that it really prohibits them from being the best that they can be in the new role because they carry that trauma with them. And although they go, oh, it's a new job, it's a new start, the subconscious keeps going back to, well, I've been hurt and will actively trigger very quickly. And so the process I have in coaching and supporting them in that space is, okay, how do we reframe this? how do we rethink this?
Yep.
How do we mitigate the trigger? And we go through a process. And of course, I'm not a psychologist. I do it from a mentoring perspective. And I have a PhD in that space. So I'm very clear about boundaries and expectations in that space. And of course, if people need more support, I move them to getting the appropriate support they need. But we forget about this when we're hiring people. You know, I often talk about, and in my third book, I wrote a chapter on this notion of coherence, and it's connected with the 3 C's. So it's you and I have an identity. We both turned up today. And that identity is based on, number 1, comfort, the degree to which we feel psychologically safe in one another's presence.
Yep.
What does that mean? It means that I can learn in a way that works for me without your judgment. I can contribute in a way that works for me without your judgment. I can engage in risk-taking in the role that I have without judgment. And with the greatest of respect and skill, I can challenge you on key ideas. So that's psychological safety. So that's your comfort. The other 2 components of that are competence and confidence. So we're hired for our knowledge, our skills, and our understanding. So that's our competence. But we need to be given the opportunities to really make those a lived experience, and that's where that confidence comes in. And so the 3 in alignment becomes coherence. And so as leaders, we need to create those environments where people can feel psychologically safe, that they can apply their skill and feel confident to innovate. You know, I was lecturing last night. I'm lecturing in the mini MBA at AIM, and, you know, we talked about this notion of people need to know that they can step up and in and get creative. You know, in the HR space, we're looking now at a new line of a form of leadership for staff in particular, and that's an innovation piece. So how do we support people to do that? Because that means we have to go outside the square.
Change things.
Yeah.
Try things that are new, maybe a bit riskier.
This
Might
is
not
it.
work.
Correct. And this is where people
Are
go.
you allowed to fail?
And that's right. And this is where the dollars and cents thing comes into play. And I say to leaders, you need to allow some space, some money, and some time for this to happen.
Yep. So what are you seeing out there, without naming names, obviously?
No,
is
definitely
leadership getting better, worse? Are workplaces toxic or fun? Or I suppose is everything out there? But what are you seeing as a trend over your time?
So I will say this, that, and this makes me really sad. I'm seeing that training and development in the leadership space is no longer a strategic investment, but it's a reactive solution. So this is where we find...
Bit of a tick box exercise.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, look, you're going on a program. It's 2 days, tick, tick, done. And often when I have leaders come to me, they go, oh, I've done so many leadership programs. And my comment is, but have you applied those concepts, and have you tested and retested those concepts? So I'm going to say to you that strategic investment is not there. The quality is not there. We have a number of programs. We have a plethora of providers, lots of leadership consultants, but I don't think we're getting to the heart of the why of leadership. You know, we move people, and I've talked about this before on my own podcasts, we move people very quickly from transactional spaces where it's tick a box and it's all about me, to transformational spaces without that preparation. And you and I both know, because we've been leaders in our own right, going from a place where you're ticking a box and you're accountable and wanting to, you know, please your line manager, to then leading teams is very different. Different skill set, different mindset, different approaches, cultural intelligence, important in this space.
Sort of more of an art than a science, really.
Correct. And this is what we're missing. And so, and we have people creating all sorts of data and schema in this space, but we're forgetting the most important thing, and that is the learning conversation we need to have with one another.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So in order to reach out to you for leadership, which I hope they will do, listen to your podcast. You've got 3 books, 4th on the way.
Yes. Absolutely.
How do they get in touch with you? How do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you?
Okay, so there's my website, www.reframewa.com.
Well, that's easy, reframewa.com, right?
Correct.
Not .au, .com.
.com only.
Yeah, okay.
And we have info@reframewa.com as well. And they are the main mechanisms through which people can connect with me. Alternatively, there's LinkedIn. There's lots of I'm quite strong in the social media space, so they can connect with me through LinkedIn as well.
Perfect. And before we move back and have a look at your sort of backstory, if you like, are there any leaders you personally admire, either in business, politics, life, or passed away, that
Charlie,
you look up to, and why?
I get asked this a lot, and I'm going to say to you, I love qualities in different people in leadership positions, and they are, some of those are WA based, some are nationally based, and others are globally based. So there's no one person, but I will say leaders who engage in self-reflection and are self-aware have my greatest respect. Leaders who are curious and not furious. Leaders who
I like that.
Or these are my sayings in my books.
Curious, not furious.
These are leaders who are responsive and not reactive.
Yep.
Leaders who are doing and not stewing. Leaders who lead with presence and purpose, with a focus on people. They are the people who I admire the most.
Some examples? Can I push you for some examples?
No,
No?
because, seriously, it would be I think it was.
There's no one person that encapsulates it all? Or?
Look, I liked, in terms of globally, Barack Obama's capacity to lead people is impressive. He always honours the dignity of people, and he's been challenged. And I'm not talking about his political policies or anything like that. In terms of WA,
And a good communicator.
he's
Superb
interested in the
communicator.
person, and you can tell he's right here. So it's at the moment my focus is on Charlie, and that's where it's at.
Yeah.
And
we've just had a change in the UK Prime Minister, and it seems to be the previous guy just could not communicate at all. I mean, he sounded like he was whining through his nose. I mean, probably a decent person, I don't know, but I just couldn't get past. Every time I came on, I went, oh.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh. And the new guy is more sort of no notes, no lectern. Okay, this guy can communicate.
Well,
Great.
having said that, though,
But let's see.
the new guy's just started.
Let's see if he can lead.
The challenge.
True, but he's been leading, the city of Manchester. He's been an MP. He's been a minister. So he's done quite a bit.
The challenge is how people cope under stress.
Sure.
And I say this a lot because I do a lot of work in the neuroscience space, and that leads a lot of the work that I produce. When we are conscious about our behaviour and our prefrontal cortex is engaged and our amygdala is not fired up, we're operating as our best selves. But when we are under intense pressure, our amygdala, flight, fright, freeze response, right, gets activated, is quite heightened. And when it's heightened, it means we're not thinking effectively. So our non-best self comes out. If you're a print profiler, it talks about your shadow self coming out. Sure. And this is what I find happens.
But that's when you see true leadership, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's when the leaders stand up.
Absolutely.
When the stuff hits the fan.
Yeah. And
when you need leaders.
And so this is where
Winston
Barack
Churchill, whatever it is, Barack Obama in the middle of the Depression. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back.
Yes.
You were born in Australia, but
I
originally from Italy. So let's get into that story.
All right.
I mean, your family's from Italy, but
my
mum and
parents
dad.
are Sicilian. My dad has now passed, quite sadly. My mum is still alive. But we were raised in a very strict home. I have a brother who's 10 years my senior and a sister.
So they came over in the 60s?
Mum and dad came over in 1964.
Were a couple? They were already a family?
Yes, they were.
Brother was born.
Yeah, he was 9 months.
You were born here.
I was born here.
Got it.
So I was born 9 years later.
Why the move?
Oh, look, I think at the time it was opportunity. There wasn't a lot happening in Italy, let alone Sicily.
Right.
And it was an opportunity to start a life, and
What
there
was
were
Dad
hopes
doing
and dreams about Australia.
Dad or Mum doing in Sicily?
Well, Dad was a military man, and then when he came back, so Dad lived during World War II, and it was really interesting. I learnt a lot about World War II from my dad, where in the last year of his life he had atrial fibrillation, I think they call
So he
it.
started to talk about it for the first time?
Well, he was delirious. So he was not cognitively there. And I remember my husband and I would visit him regularly, and every time there'd be something like, quick, the fascists are coming, hide under the bed. So we actually I learnt a lot about World War II and Dad's fears when he was in his delirious state. And it was an eye-opener because he never talked about the experience of World War other than he didn't like polenta. That was it.
Okay.
But so it made him a very hard man and very protective. And so my sister and I particularly were raised very, very strictly. Yeah.
That's how we cope with it.
Yeah, and so it was about protection of the family, and the family was really important. But, you know, we went to school. And then
and at school, any leadership, business, entrepreneurial flair?
Oh, well, in primary school I was captain of our Red Faction team because we had teams.
Yeah.
But then in high school...
And where are you in Perth at school?
I was at good old Balcatta Senior High
Balcatta
School.
Senior High.
Yeah,
Okay.
Good old Balcatta. Loved Balcatta.
Lovely.
Yeah, it was very insightful.
So you
Learnt
lived
a lot
locally
about
there?
life. Yeah.
Okay.
Loved it. It was great. And then and I did really well academically at school. I in year 12 I came out with a number of cheques and awards. And so I then went off to uni. I did a degree.
And I'm guessing your mum and dad didn't go to uni, so you're the first generation to go to uni.
Yeah, yeah. At the time I was the only one in the family that went to uni.
To do what?
So I did a double major of justice administration, and I really wanted to perfect Italian to be an interpreter in the courts.
Right.
And then, you know, like you do, you get to the end of your degree and you realise not a lot of work in that space.
There's maybe one job.
So I then did a grad dip and converted it to teaching.
Okay.
And then I got into teaching within 3 months. I was in a leadership position. So I was teacher in charge, and then I went into head of house.
Teaching Italian, teaching
English. Yeah, English, Italian, SOS. I did all of that, society and the environment, which is now. And then from there I became a head of house, a head of year, deputy principal for a really long time. And then I did acting principal stints. And then I went...
And this is secondary school, I'm guessing.
So this is post...
But you're teaching in secondary
Yeah,
schools,
yeah.
and acting principals in secondary schools.
Secondary schools.
Around Perth.
Around Perth, yeah. So that was...
Did you get to do your bush
I did.
year?
I went to Harvey. That was what they called bush at the time.
Okay.
And I loved it because it was an Italian community. So I was so welcomed.
My people.
Yeah, it was great. You know, it's not often that a dairy farmer finds out it's your birthday and makes you a birthday cake from scratch.
Oh,
You know,
lovely.
or I was very privileged. I was invited out to dinner all the time. And for me, it was just being with people.
So did you get into leadership and leadership coaching because of maybe some of the gaps in leadership you were seeing in education?
Not just education, because I did other gigs on the side.
Yeah.
But I will say I got into leadership because I was very aware of, number one, people don't leave organisations, they leave leaders. Right?
Interesting.
If people can't flourish,
Yeah.
they're not going to hang around or be of their best selves when they're around. I noticed this notion of people being promoted without support and often to fill in gaps, but the consequence of that appointment was evident.
And the weird thing about teaching, and I taught for 13 years as well in England, Singapore and here, was that the better you are at teaching, the less you do of it. And they just jump, they start putting admin and leadership on you with no training.
Yeah.
I remember talking to a leader and it was sort of tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Because he was one of the worst leaders I'd ever met. And I said, where did you learn your leadership from? And he said, watching others up and down the corridor, which meant the senior corridor.
Yeah.
I'm going, sorry, that's not good enough. And that explains a lot.
Yeah. So I ended up going into Catholic education in the office and ASWA, and I was involved in designing leadership
There
programs
you go.
in
So that was a natural.
Yeah.
moved to what you're doing now.
But I did move from school into the system because at the time I was involved with a Leading Lights team at Catholic Education, and we were involved in digital transformation, and I was appointed to work with leaders throughout the state to bring them on board with Office 365. And that was the most amazing experience, because when you're working with Microsoft and you're working with really impressive individuals, one of whom I was actually very privileged to interview on my podcast, Dr. Kathy Kavanagh, you really get insight about people's fears and vulnerabilities and bringing things in, and the weight of responsibility aligned with leadership. So I felt very privileged to be able to walk the journey with them, and we did that successfully. So when COVID hit, Catholic Education was fine because everyone had Office 365. People could work from on Teams. They could use OneNote. There was no issues. So for us, it was great. I then moved into ASWA and redesigned their leadership suite. And I still do work for ASWA, again, to grow leaders in that space. But that growth of leadership is not restricted to the education sector. It goes across the board. I now work in health, I work in mining, I work in local government. The issues are the same. They're just in a different context.
Yep. And you didn't figure you wanted to be the principal and that was what you're going to be?
No. I always work with opportunities and where the door opens. And so I enjoyed the acting stints. I did well at the acting stints, but I realised it wasn't for me. I needed to do more and have more reach. And for me, again, and I take seriously this leadership legacy, it really is about growing people to be the best they can be, because when you've got a quality leader truly leading, the ripple effect is multiplied.
I always feel if you leave an organisation and it then continues to grow and do really well, that's your legacy. Because if it totally relies on you on turning up every day and answering every question, all you've got is a job.
That's not leadership.
Haven't actually created anything at all.
Yeah, that's not leadership. I remember a principal saying, I'm a leader because I'm the person who closes the gate at the end of the day. And I looked at them and I said, that's not a leader. That's not a leader. Doing that transactional stuff, for the most part, is not a leader. You'll have to do some transactional bits in that transformation space, but no.
What's the name of your podcast?
We talk about Show Up and Lead. It's the title of my second book. Show Up and Lead.
So if you just go onto any podcast platform and put
Apple
Show Up and Lead.
Spotify. Yeah.
Show Up and Lead. Lovely. And your books?
Okay, so we have one called It's All About It, Communication for the Workplace. That's the first one. The second one is Show Up and Lead. The third one is Leadership That Lifts Others. And the fourth one is on its way.
And that's going to be a collection of interviews you've done on the podcast.
Yes, because I've done a podcast and I ask the same types of questions. It's almost like doing another PhD, right? All I'm doing is interviewing people, collecting data. And I'm very privileged to speak to some amazing people who offer great insights into the leadership space.
Great.
So it's an opportunity to share that knowledge. And so I start writing my last, I think, scheduled podcast with about 5 or 6 people will be in October. So I'm going to collect all of this year's transcripts and I'll work with those, set them into themes and then add the research in that space.
And your PhD is in leadership or organisational behaviour or
So
related?
It's mentoring in the leadership space.
Mentoring in the space. Fantastic. Okay, we've got to finish off. That went very quick, didn't it, Nancy?
Did it? Great.
So 5 questions. First thing comes into your head. What's the single most important factor that makes a successful business?
I'm going to say 2 things. Trust and connection makes a successful business.
Yes, indeed. If you were to wave your magic wand over the local business scene, what would you change?
More quality mentors and coaches to support leaders to be the best they can be.
Yeah. And I've already asked this, and I'm going to push you again. Which leader do you most admire? A person, a business leader, or you said Barack Obama?
I did I like Barack Obama. In terms of, in WA there are lots of people who do good things.
Yes.
I'm going to suggest that I'm going to invite people to look at who I've interviewed in my podcast series. They are all quality leaders who bring aspects of amazing leadership to their workplaces.
I was at an event the other day and someone was bemoaning the lack of leadership, and I think they were talking about political leadership in the world. And I'm going, and I said, well, I have to sort of interject here and put a counter, which is there are some wonderful leaders. in not-for-profits, running little community things, running some coaching here for kids all across WA. Up and down your street, there are great leaders doing wonderful things, right? So I like to be the sort of glass half full, the positive.
You don't need to have a title to be a leader.
No.
Leading is how you lead from the heart and how you honour the dignity of other people. You don't need to have a sign saying, hey, hey.
Yeah, correct. How can anyone listening to this help you?
Oh, well, I'm really excited because, as I said to you, we've now hit 5 years. And so we're approaching 5 years. And so what we're wanting to do is continue to engage with organisations who are seeking partners to grow their teams, their individuals, for sustained outcomes. So we're looking at fostering partnerships where we can work in with organisations in that retainer space, or create leadership and communication suite programs, or coach and mentor in whatever way that they need.
So they just need to contact you.
Absolutely.
Sort it out.
Yes.
And what do you do to get away from it all, to relax and refresh?
Do you know, I don't need much. For me, family, it goes back to my Italian heritage. Family is really important, and I have adult children. One's moved out, one's sort of moved out, as they do.
Yeah.
And we recently went away to Croatia for 2 weeks on a holiday. So it's spending time with quality people, friends, family, maybe watching a good movie, going for a walk, taking my 2 dogs for a walk. Lovely. I love the dogs. But very simple things to nourish the soul. Very simple.
Fantastic. Good advice for everybody. Well, thank you so much, Nancy. I want to wish you, the team, all the best in the future. Good luck with the new book.
Thank you,
and
Charlie.
And the finish of the podcast series. We recorded this podcast at the Podwave Podcast Studios in beautiful Leaderville, West Australia. Don't forget to subscribe to WA Leaders on your favourite pod platform, and our latest episodes will wing their way to your feed. And if you like what you hear, leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again.
Thank you, Charlie.